Yo, yo, yo. All right, here we go. All right. How's everybody doing? It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. That's what I declared it.
There we go.
All right. Oh. How are you guys doing?
Good. Are you trying to get levels or something?
I am. I was trying to be sneaky. And then Bob said nothing.
Well, you don't want to hear the answer, and you don't. You just want my levels.
It's
fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
Are you buried in snow?
No, that's tonight.
My mother-in-law lives in Reno. She says Tahoe's has, it was either a 2 or an 8, 52 or 58 inches of snow.
Is that a lot? I don't ski.
Inches of snow? Inches of snow. That's like feet.
Yeah.
Like multiple. Yeah, they have had pictures of them driving through these snow columns where they have cut a road through to see where they're going.
But it's Tahoe.
Yeah, I think even that's a bit extreme.
Okay.
So
I know over seasons your typical ski resort will get hundreds of inches. You're talking about like actual on the ground at the moment.
Yeah. Like in one go, boom. And you're like, wow, that seems, it's like feet and feet and feet of snow. Anyway, Ron, glad you're with us. Bert, welcome again. Bert, I think Bert showed up for the deployment dojo. That was great. I think. Was that your first deployment dojo, Bert? No. And Zach, happy Thursday to you too, sir. Unfortunately,
you don't do roll call on dojo.
I don't. I'm basically on a clock on dojo, so
right.
It's like get in, kind of get warmed up, get David talking, and then we're off to the races. Kind of like this, except I have like 5 minutes. So yeah, Zach, no worries. You can always watch them later, but I appreciate the thought of hanging out with him. Like I could go watch the deployment dojo, or I could go to this meeting. Which one gets me fired? Or not fired, I guess is what you're really going for.
Well, yeah.
And we have like 5 minutes here, and we don't have a hard stop time because the time here is here is unknown given the number of issues that we want to pick up. And who knows, we could have one issue and spend 2 hours on it.
No, that never happens.
Maybe not 2 hours, but hour and a half, sure. Things like that. Well, Bert, that was great. I always appreciate when people jump in the chat and say hi. And it's like, oh look, people really are here. I'm not just talking to myself. Although I definitely do better when there's a student in the dojo, because I felt like I was talking too fast because I didn't have someone to bounce everything off of. Anyway, but sick kid will get you at the last minute, which is what happened to him in the end. Yeah, that parenting thing doesn't wait for anybody.
Suckers.
Yeah, I guess there's that. Yeah. So we're waiting a couple more minutes to see if Jacob shows up. This is a good meeting. This will be a good meeting. I feel it. And yeah, I was up working on refining a bunch of issues last night that I'd had bits and pieces fixed from earlier, and I need to get them all in because I didn't want them on my machine when we're talking about them in triage. I was like, well, I have this basically done. I just have to finish it. It's like, no, I'll just finish it. Finished it last night. So, all right, let's see. Anything else going on out there? It's kind of nice being at the end of WiX 4 and having not started WiX 5 yet, although that's going to be a thing soon.
Speak for yourself. I've already started writing up outlines for WIPs.
Oh, all right. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I am definitely not there yet.
Mostly I just needed to get stuff out of my brain and on paper.
Yeah, that's fair. But we're not talking about 5 yet. Not today. Not
That's why I
really.
haven't. That's why they haven't moved from paper to issues.
Yes, exactly. Try not to distract ourselves. All right, another minute here, and then I will start pushing the buttons to make the things go. Let's go ahead and bring us up. Remind me, I have something I want to bring up at the end. Don't want to derail things before we even start. All right, Zach, that's good. That means that when you get to a point where we're kind of getting to the end of triage, you're gonna want to have like, or maybe put it in Notepad off to the side and paste it in, so you're jumping in there. I do try to fill space in comments time to make sure people have time to type, but that if you have a big thing. Also, I think Ron reminds us there's like 250 character limit or something. So if you need multiple paragraphs, chunk them in 200 character units. All right, 9:35. I think that means it is time to get this thing going. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the WiX Online Meeting 253. It's March 9th. We're rolling our way through 2023. And this meeting is recorded for those of you that aren't with us right here, right now. You know that. And everybody that is with us right here, right now, usual suspects. Welcome, Ron, Zach, Bert. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. If there's anybody else hanging out in chat, go ahead and say hi. We always love to know who's here with us. All right. We're going to talk about WiX 4 release plan because that's what we do. There are changes to the release plan. So put your listening cap on. It's coming. Whoa, listening cap. That's a straight out of kindergarten. That was awesome. Haven't thought about that in a long time. All right. And then we will do the usual issue review and triage based off of the WiX 4 release plan. And we'll take questions and comments, things that people want to talk about at the end. Zach has already hinted that he has something to bring up. So I guess he'll get to go first, assuming he types fast enough. All right. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. WiX 4 release plan. 2 big changes. Number 1, RC3 has gone well. As we're going to see when we look at the bugs, there haven't been real big issues, real things that we've been worried about, which means that we're going to do what we hinted that we would love to do, but I was a little afraid to say that we would do. We're going to suck up the WiX 4 release by a week. So we're going out next Friday with a WiX 4 RC4 release. Sorry, I make that clear. RC4 release. And I'm doing it. Oh, what's that? A week and a half later, we're going to call R4 RTM, GA, whatever term you want to say. We're going to declare it done and dusted a week and a half later. That assumes nothing derails us in the next few days. But given what we've seen, there's no reason not to. So yeah, it's happening. We're basically there. At this point, you could say under a month away, WiX 4 will be done, unless something shows up to say that, no, that we shouldn't do that. But I think we feel pretty good about that. So 1 week earlier than we originally said last week, March 17th, RC4 comes out. My hope is that we really don't take anything after RC4. And we just kind of sit around, and then we just do a 4.0 release because semantic versioning says we have to rebuild all the bits to put the correct version on them, which is lame, but that's one of the benefits we get for running. No, wait, one of the downsides of running semantic versioning. Anyway, March 17th is coming around next Friday. Look for the release because it's probably going to be there, given the number of issues we've seen. And people are picking it up, so that's good. On that front, let's go talk about the issues that we have, things that are up, and you can see why I think we're pulling it in for a week. Bob, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Triage. These are the issues to triage right at the top. And let's just jump right into them. 7253, WCA initialize should log informational version. Bob opened this and he already said we should put this in V5, not disrupt V4, because it's not that important, although it'll be very useful in the next review, right?
Yeah, it's given semantic versioning. Speaking of semantic versioning, 4000 will be the version number of WiX 4 in 3 weeks. So yeah, there's no reason to disrupt it now. But yeah, I should go into the next version as soon as we can, so that we can track which particular pre-release is running.
So we're not talking about WiX 5 much yet, but so does that mean you're going to put this in future and give it to yourself?
I am assigning it to myself, and I will put it in Milestone V Future.
Great. Just a quick reminder for people that weren't here when we talked about the new world. When we are in a current release, we can put things in V Future, assign to somebody, and we will then pull from those when we start the next release. Ideally, pull everything out of Future and put it into the 5 or into the next release, in this case 5. So we will be talking about that in the not too distant future because we're releasing WiX 4 on April 4th. Registry search element in util does not allow for searching of the value or existence of name and a key. Issue number 7259. Blair opened this, and I think, Bob, you corrected him that the title probably is not correct anymore because you can. You just have to use a different attribute.
It's a weirdness of the registry. We have registry path, like file path, and then there are items under each path that have values or are named values. So the terminology is inconsistent, which is, I think, the crux of the bug here.
So up for grabs and we go on?
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
mean, it's hard to say that either one is wrong. I would lean slightly toward name being the correct name. But it's, you can't say that value is wrong.
Right.
It's just a little weird.
It's not consistent, and consistent would have value.
Well,
yeah,
it would, but at the moment, registry search for MSI in app search for MSI is, there's different functionality between the two.
Okay.
Registry search in util for burn is generally a superset.
All right. So up for grabs if someone wants to go talk about, I mean, this is a small fix, but talk about how they want to fix it. We'll probably take that in the future to kind of normalize the words, look at all the words, propose something and do it. That'd be fine. Prerequisites other than .NET from WinGit using ID and version. Other than .NET from WinGit using ID and version. This is 7262. I didn't quite get this. Install a DLL using WinGit. I didn't think people shipped DLLs via WinGit, but I guess you could.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping it. Especially, they recently added support for, essentially zip files for the idea of portable apps. But it is still primarily for delivering apps.
So this would be a bundle thing? I don't...
No, I think the idea is that it could be used anywhere, like a package reference.
Oh, yeah, no. No, we're not going to bring this in for package reference. Because we already have a way of doing all these things, and I don't want to support yet another one inside all that. So, not as a package reference. As a thing that Burn could talk to the WinGit API, I don't even know if that, I don't know if that even works well, especially for ranges and all kinds of things. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting. I don't know what the yeah, I don't know what I'm agreeing with you that it was likely the intent to support WinGit as a source for a package group, but currently Burn doesn't.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, see, it's just really weird because...
No, because WinGit's a runtime thing that people use at install time. It's not like a build time thing. It's like maybe you run it in your build process to download stuff for your build, but not for getting bits today. It could change, but it's not that.
I think what they're looking for here is the idea of WinGit as a download URL, as a source for the package download
in a bundle, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking I might have read too much into. Well, because the same person I believe posted something somewhere else at maybe a discussion. about Winget, but
Yeah,
I think I'm reading too much into what isn't actually written there.
Yeah, so I think we should. I don't want to keep this around. It's too underdeveloped, so I guess we could close it, and they could try to add more comments or enhance their thing if they really want to, and then let us know. But it's too vague to really know what they want, and I don't really think we should be pulling Winget in at this time into either the build process natively in the tools, like, or in the build process like package ref, or the extension command line, or in burn with all the variants that this would have until Winget became like a, I guess, a known platform. It's just, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting there. It ships in Windows now, so
That certainly helps their case, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand what they're asking for here.
Yep. So let's go ahead and close it. Tell them if they need to provide a lot more detail on what they're looking for. They can go ahead and edit the issue if they want, and then
yeah,
we can come back
Okay.
and look at it. But it's not clear. All right. These I opened based off of that I hunted down. People made vague allusions to things not working, so I went and hunted them down and distilled them down into an issue. Launch conditions were not being converted under include elements. Pretty straightforward. This is during conversion. So during conversion, if you had a condition element, which needs to turn into a launch element now with a condition attribute, it didn't do that. So I went and found that did not work in includes, cleaned that up. And so this is fixed as of last night. I left it in triage just so we would talk about it because it's one of the few interesting bugs that have come up in RC4, and it's in conversion. So that was 7264, and then 7265, prevent direct references to platform neutral WiX UI. So we have people out there that are bringing their V3 knowledge and just doing a UI ref straight into the WiX UI, like WiX UI underbar advanced or whatever they want, minimal, so on and so forth. And it kind of works. It compiles, it builds an MSI, but that MSI is missing all of the platform specific custom actions, which are new in WiX 4 because we now have ARM support and x64 support, but the ARM is the big one. And then you get the like an ICE error later. You end up with a broken package. So the change here was to not let them refer to the neutral WiX UI IDs anymore, and say you need to refer to the platform specific ID. So the hope here is that by breaking this path, this habit, not habit, I mean, just what you learn pattern that from V3, by changing it here, at least we can get a breaking that they can go, wait, this doesn't work. Why doesn't this work? Oh, well, WiX 4 is a major upgrade. Therefore, there's a new way of doing this, which the correct way to do it is with the WiX UI element in the UI namespace, which, by the way, is what the converter will do. But we've had people say, create a new project, add UI ref to this, things don't work right. And it's like, oh yeah, too easy for them to end up in a bad place. So that was a fix to hide the old platform neutral WiX UI things to nudge people in the right direction of how to get to the right place with WiX UI in V4, because it is different because we added all the platform specific stuff. Because now you can do ARM packages with custom actions. Thank you, Bob. Yay.
You're welcome.
I need a button that says the little clap, the audience clap thing. Platform specific meaning ARM versus x86 versus x64. Correct, Zach. It is all the platforms that WiX supports right now. We have custom actions for all of them, and you need to refer to them. If you refer to the platform neutral WiX UI stuff, which will not be possible in WiX 4 RC4, if you do that now, you end up with not working UI in a couple different ways. And it's not obvious.
To be clear, there are two problems. One is you will get ICE errors. If you suppress those, you will get a license dialog that doesn't support printing. Oh, what a shame. The only real blocker is that there's a custom action to validate the path unless you suppress that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the pattern is if you don't successfully validate, it fails. So that means you have to call the custom action.
Yeah, it just, we lead you into a dead end and you need to not go there. So now we're going to prevent you from getting into the dead end before you head down that way. All right, so let's look at, if I refresh this, all these go away, I think. Hey, Bob just has to give that to himself, take it off trash. All right, so we look at all the things that are in RC4. There have been 5 of them. We just talked about 2 of them, by the way. The first one was leftover from RC3 of adding .NET Framework 4.8.1 support. Again, thank you, Bob. That was done actually very early in RC4. We have support for .NET Framework 4.8.1 in RC4. Blair pointed out an issue in the build files where a log file is not being handled correctly. So thank you, Blair, but a build process, internal build process, just makes that batch file that you can use a little bit smarter. Not terribly concerned about the functionality of WiX there. The next one, argument out of range exception when creating a bundled project, is 7250. This one is a little more interesting in that if you created a bundle package but you did not specify an output type, then you could get through where Wix would think that you're building an MSI, would not tell you that it thinks you're building an MSI, and all kinds of weird things happen. And then you end up trying to do a validate of this non-MSI, and the validation process would crash when trying to get PDB. So it was basically a whole bunch of bad error cases when you forgot the output type inside your project, and it would default back to an MSI. So now this is handled. This crash doesn't happen. You get a warning much earlier saying, hey, this is probably not what you meant to do. And nothing crashes, and there's now information telling you what actually happened. So this is
a little weird, though. I mean, I know this is all on the MS build side, but we could pipe through the actual thing you're building, right? So you wouldn't have, I mean, you're building something with a bundle element, you're getting a bundle, not a package.
Yeah, I think we have to look earlier in the build process than the build. It would work for this particular validation step, but I think there are other things that don't end up going quite right as well.
Sure.
So the end result is it doesn't end up working nearly at all. And this is something that I think we could look at in Wix 5 of trying to get smarter. The whole entry section error messages are not great.
That's where I was going.
And every time I kind of get near them, I'm like, we should need to do better naming here, because how many of you in chat know what an entry section is?
What? That's obvious.
Well, chat actually has a good chance of knowing because they've been hanging out with us for quite a while. But for those of you playing along at home later, I've given you long enough to think about it. You should have yelled out your answer at the computer monitor or your phone, wherever you're watching this by now. But the entry section is the main section. Like, is it a package? Is it a bundle? In this case, the entry section is this bundle block of code right here. And the error message when you get to the linker, which is where it figures out, hey, what am I actually building, is not so great. And there's probably work that we could do better to plumb that through than what we do today. And it's a little not so great because it works better from the command line than it does from MS Build. So it's kind of one of those things of, yeah, we could do better, but not here. Anyway, so that was a straightforward fix of getting better error handling around that. And then I just talked about the launch conditions into conversion and preventing direct reference from Wix UI to put people down a better path. All of those technically would have been things that we didn't have to take. They certainly make people's experiences better should they do those things, and people probably will do them. So I was very inclined to take them. But we're kind of looking at issues now going, yeah, we didn't have to take any of these. So that's good, making progress. And at the end of that, Bob said, we could go a week early. And I was like, yeah, we should go a week early. So we're going to go on March 7th. RC4 is going to have these 5 fixes in it, unless somebody opens something else between now and a week from tomorrow.
Which would be the 17th, not the 7th.
Sorry, did I say 7th? 17th.
Yeah.
7th was 2 days ago. That was maybe it's when you said that we should try to go to the 17th. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We're finishing. We're done. We're kind of like, yeah, this is it. If any big issues pop up, then we will slip it, and I will send. I don't know. Probably put it in the discussions on GitHub, which is where I place to kind of announce things. But right now, everything looks like we're going to go on the 17th of March. A week from tomorrow. That's all I have on triage. That's the review. 5 bugs at the end. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. So now I'm going to go back and say, do people want to talk about questions, comments, things people want to talk about? Zach should have his question ready to go, dropping it in. Big things. Anything else anybody else wants to talk about? Other things going on. Starting simple. Diffix app driver is deprecated, but there's nothing pointing to an alternative. Yes, that's correct, Zach. Diffix app is deprecated by Microsoft, and they have not provided an alternative. And we have not done the, I assume, massive amount of work to create an alternative to installing drivers inside an MSI. If Microsoft, I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go. Hey, it'd be great if, if we really wanted to do it, Microsoft would give us the code, because, I mean, they had it. Why throw it all away? We could at least go somewhere from here. But yeah, the starting point for that is essentially 0, because all the hard stuff is owned by Microsoft and they have deprecated it a while ago. So we're just kind of catching up our documentation and statements to what they've already said. There is no alternative provided today. Late to the party, I came out on a hunch, was wondering why there's no more announcements in WiX Devs on meetings, because WiX Devs is dead and I am behind on entering sending all those mails. I need to do that. I was hoping I would get to it like this last week, but I've been really busy at Fire Giant, so I just haven't. I need to send all those things, but yeah, WiX Devs and WiX users are both going, and we are now gone. I mean, and we'll now be moving to GitHub. Getting intermittent file in use error in a project reference from building my WiX project, but I haven't tried to narrow it down yet. Okay. Where a WiX project depends on A and B, and A also depends on B. And file in use error is an MS build thing, Zach? Like, is that an MS build error, or is it WiX spitting out the error? Who's complaining about the file in use? I mean, Jacob's right. Capturing a bin log for every single build. I haven't seen anything related to that myself. I think Jacob's right. Put a bin log on all of your builds, and then when it happens, the bin log should be very helpful in tracking down who had that file in contention. And if it's in WiX, we end up with files in use all over. We've tried to become much more robust on accessing files in WiX with lots of retries. And MS Build has done that in a number of places. There are some places where it has not. So that would be the thing to look at, maybe we're missing a retry, or maybe some part of MS Build needs another retry, so on and so forth. A bin log is where you'd want to start narrowing down whose fault that might be.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we did a good job in 4 of retrying all I/O.
Yeah, we made a concerted effort to do that. I'm not going to say that we got it all, because we might have missed one. And Zach,
are we still trying to build the burn end-to-end tests in parallel?
I don't remember. We could look at it. I tried to parallelize everything at one point or another, and anything that had an intermittent failure, then I turned it off. But because I have not tried to spend time running down intermittent failures in those things. But our build process is not simple in all cases either. So, but
I think that would be the best place to check.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know it was at one point, and I have vague memories of some of it going away. I was looking at it briefly for building everything on ARM, because if you have some ARM64 hardware, theoretically you should be able to run the entire WiX build using the ARM version of Visual Studio, and then we could build all of our end-to-end tests as ARM packages. And then, while I'm dreaming on the pipe, is to run all of the tests in Sandbox.
It's coming from one of the dependency projects that I would be surprised if that's WiX. Then I won't say it's definitely not us, but it's in one of the other projects. I mean, we try not to hold on to anything for a long time. So, and if it's another project, that usually happens before WiX builds. So If it's not in a Wix proj, it's less likely it's us, especially if it's before the Wix proj. Then it's very unlikely that it's Wix, because all we're doing is saying go build this stuff, and then when Wix runs the init project, it does its stuff. Otherwise, we don't really have much code running inside your build process. But getting bin logs is very, very useful. In the Wix toolset, we've tried to go through and instrument all of our build commands so that they all generate a bin log, and that is very helpful when something goes wrong. We get a zip of all the different bin logs of all the different builds, and you can work your way through and figure out, oh, that's what happened in that one, and start root causing from there. Bin logs are your friend. Same as MSI, except in that case, it's just a verbose log, which is text, and a lot harder to read. Anyway, other things people want to talk about, other stuff going on. Zach, is there anything else about your issues or a third point? Other things to talk about? Yeah, the only place I see it is Wix is when a sub-projects are kicked off, but that's fair in common targets. I don't think I'm gonna, yeah, no, I mean, we ask MS Build to go build those projects, but after that, it's all MS Build and that project system. Wix is, we don't have like we don't have any code that should be long running during that part of the process. Our long running code, like actually accessing files and all that, happens later in a Wix proj from that point. Other things people have going on? All right. What do people think about going Wix 4, RC4 on March 17th and Wix 4 on April 5th? April 5th is the 19th birthday of Wix being open source. Did I do math right?
Yes.
19th year of Wix being open source.
I think we should slip Wix 4 for a year.
Yeah.
Come out on the 20th.
Yeah. No. We're gonna try to do something better. We're gonna try to ship Wix 5 on the 20th.
That'll do.
I think that's the next line in the sand to draw a little ways away. Like, let's try to hit that date and see if we can do that one. I think that would be good. It gets us off of your Christmas requests, so we're not doing releases over the holidays, and
we're not doing pre-releases during the holidays.
And we're not doing pre-releases during the holidays and things like that. I think that kind of like the idea. Plus, it's a year after Wix 4, so
yeah.
Release on our anniversary of being open source. Yeah, I'm all right with that. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been killing time, seeing if anybody had anything else to do. I don't know when we're going to talk about Wix 5. I'm not thrilled about Wix 4 documentation. I less than readable than V3, but I feel like I'm way late for feedback. Super useful. Well, actually, so before we jump to the scene, the Wix 4 documentation is now on the website, so we can improve and change and make that better. After Wix 4 is done, like essentially in near real time. It's like, do your change, pull request, about 10 minutes later, that has been fixed. It's not like Wix 3 where a lot of the documentation is built into a chum that was then shared with the website. So you had to make a change to the core tool set repository to have it get pushed up to the website. That doesn't happen. Now it's all on the Wix website there. And then we have plans on FireGiant to go do a lot of work on the documentation that we own to get that body of work up to Wix 4. But it's, at this point in time, a lot of it's resources and getting fixes into the code and getting documentation up to date and all those things all at the same time. So,
Zach, I'm curious what you mean by readable. Are you talking about the content or the new layout on the doc pages, which are very different? Certainly different than the chum. Because a lot of the content, like in the reference material, the schema reference, that started from V3 and is improved, but not dramatically rewritten. But the layout for those pages is very different than what we had in the chum, and some of that is under our control. I don't know how much of it. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you there.
That's kind of the difference between using the bullet or the definition versus a table, a big table kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But
yeah. So tables are interesting, but the problem is tables don't do well in the theme that we have here. If you look at some of the, because I mean some topics, especially outside of the reference, do have tables, and they tend to be pretty narrow. And I don't, I have a fairly wide window for my, for the browser I use to look at wixtoolset.org. But between the nav bar on the left and then the narrower one on the right that has the table of contents for the page, tables don't do well in the remaining width, and they tend to start to need scrolling pretty quickly. When I wrote the tooling to create the doc out of the XSD files, it started with a table, and it didn't work. And I don't know if we have any other option there. Certainly, we can do more with with the documentation on the attributes, but I don't think a table is the solution just because of the width of the column.
but the stylization and all those kind of things can all be done. For example, that content's all generated. So changing everything to a table is going and updating the tool that generates the HTML for that. I mean, not trivial, but it can be done until we get to a place that we're like, yeah, no, this is really good. Let's go with that. And which is nice because we don't have to. That does not have to release Wix. That can just be done on the website at essentially any time that someone wants to go do the work. So if you like the table better, then it's straightforward to go kind of play with the HTML and try to get a table that fits well in there and go from there. If we can find a better layout, all for it. None of us are designers, and certainly not CSS web designers. So if people want to come up and say, hey, I can make this look better, certainly would entertain that.
Well, also we have to deal within some limitations. Like we're not generating HTML, we're generating Markdown, which does further limit our flexibility. Yeah, there are things you could do in HTML and CSS that is at least harder and maybe impossibly harder in Markdown.
Yeah, well, but it's all places that we can play.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's not. And truthfully, I don't know that we're going to get. I don't know that CSS is the answer to everything, but we could certainly do more with, within the constraints of what we're doing today. We can certainly do different things.
Right.
I ended up at this, for the attributes, just as okay. We have these bits of information. Let's put it out.
So there are definitely opportunities that people want to spend time stylizing and refining the documentation pages.
And all those tools are just, your typical C# app.
Yep.
C# console apps.
And they're all in the web project.
Yep.
So they're nice and isolated from everything else, everything we need to build the web project. All right. I think that's it. The question I had was, given that we're going a week earlier, should we have a meeting next week just before the release? Or if everything's going fine, everybody knows, so we don't need to do a meeting? I mean, ideally, there's no issues to talk about, and we're just ready to go. What do you guys think?
Are you asking to do an additional meeting or to start throwing us off into a different every other week?
Might just be an additional meeting. I'm flexible on whatever we want to do there. Do we think we should pre-schedule a meeting for next week before the release?
No.
Okay.
We could do one if an issue comes in over the next few days, and oh no, is this serious? We don't know. We need to have a meeting of the brain trust.
Okay.
But
that's fine with me.
Seems like an additional meeting might be nice because you expect this to be our well, I mean, my hope is there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, That's where I get. If we have something to talk about, we should have a meeting because, it's not like it costs extra money.
Yeah, no, it does not cost extra money. All right, right now we're not going to plan it, and of course we'll send out things to GitHub issues. We'll send things to GitHub issues. That's the GitHub discussions. I keep saying issue. I mean, that's not. Then the issue is true. Anyway, to GitHub discussions if there's a meeting scheduled for next week, and I will make it clear if that's happened. And I need to email WiX Dev and WiX users to say that these are no longer being used. I do need to send those emails. I have a set of things that I'm hoping I can breathe a little bit and do. Granted, I did say that last week and get to them. So I know it's just like
The documentation suggests that the mailing lists are being deprioritized.
Yep.
And I don't know who wrote that word because that's just horrible. It was me.
Mhm.
But we haven't. They're not shut down. They're not read only. So,
but you see no traffic there. So I think we've had 2 emails to WiX users.
Today.
Really?
Just today we got 3. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Well, it's still a valid list.
Wow. It is. Yeah. It's still out there.
Maybe we need to do a bigger, announcement. But
I do. No, absolutely do need to. So we need to go do that. Definitely need to do that. All right. That's it. So we will be back in 2 weeks then on our normal cadence. Talking about, how RC4 went and how things are looking at the roughly end of the first week of RC4 being out there. And that's that. I don't have anything else to talk about today. The issues were really good in RC4, like minimal and that kind of stuff, which was very encouraging. So I hope it remains that way throughout RC4, and we don't really take anything after next Friday or even next week. So there we are. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Unless something big happens, then I'll send a different message out to WiX on GitHub's discussions. And that's it. 2 weeks from now, same place, same time. And we're just kind of waiting to see if issues pop up. So until then, you guys have a good 1 week, get RC4, and then we'll see you in the week after that to talk about how RC4 is going. Till then, talk to you guys later. Bye.
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 WiX Online Meeting 253. Up next. I need to fix that text. Oh, I can't fix that text. Sorry, my bad. There we go. That's the correct number. Next meeting, 254. I need a thing that automatically adds 1 for me to the number I put in. I need variables in my streaming software. I need a whole programming platform here that have this all automated for me.
Yeah, that's not overkill.
Not overkill. But yeah, my understanding is you can't program it all in Lua, so I could get there. But
OBS supports Lua?
I think that, or Python, or both. I think actually maybe it's both.
Okay then.
Yeah, right?
Then what's your problem?
Yeah. I need to send an email to WiX Dev and WiX users first before I do that thing. So, bye, Ron. Thank you. It's great having you here. And oh man, feels good. Feels good. RC3 has gone just about the way that we would hope it to, I think. Not perfect, but none of the issues were terrible. Yeah, fine. Hopefully nothing comes in next week. Hopefully nothing comes in. Honestly, not just next week, for the next month.
Well, you can hope all you want.
Well, nothing that we want to take a wish for. That's what I'm hoping. Looking for no showstoppers. No whammy, no whammy. Isn't that how that goes? That's a TV show reference I don't even get. The game show reference?
Game show, yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a guy was that the one where the guy broke it and got in like an infinite loop? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the story I heard of. Someone figured how to play the game but didn't know how to win. No. But isn't it that one? Like you push a button at the anyway, I don't know.
You push a button. I think the trick was he discovered the pattern.
Yes.
And could avoid the whammies.
Right. But at the end didn't know how to stop. Like he knew how to keep it looping, but not how to exit the loop. typical, Turing complete problem.
I don't remember that. I just remember him tricking the lack of random number generator.
I remember it being he didn't know how to get out of it. That's kind of funny. So he had a lot of stress as he was winning, trying to figure out, how do I not lose all my money that I've done by breaking the machine or the system, beating the system. Anyway. All right. Well, that's all we got. Wrap up. This is in the can, and we're going to be pushing out, WiX 4, getting more people, trying to get more people on it, and finishing up and declaring victory. That's what's coming out. So, thank you, chat, for being here. It's wonderful to have you guys, and we'll see you in the short 2 weeks, but RC4 happens in between there. So, all right, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.